Okay, a bit of an update for Queensland Rail as it's heading into Chrissy. What's going on? Members be well aware that you voted recently on Queensland Rail's LNP demanded negotiation agreement. They put it out at the end of, part of the way through conciliation in the Queensland Industrial Relations Commission. We figured before conciliation finished, you as members needed to have a say on that agreement, and you sent back a pretty clear message that stripping your conditions away, as per what the Newman government's dictating, isn't acceptable, and you won't put up with it. So after the vote went down, we've been back into the State Commission again under the formal process of conciliation, which expired almost 2 weeks ago, about the 4th of December, I think it would have been roughly, and we went as far as we could, but Queensland Rail just wanted to strip away too many of your conditions, wouldn't bargain effectively, and are just not offering anywhere near enough money for what they want to take away. So ultimately now we're in arbitration. It's unfortunate that it's got this far, but you know, with the Newman government driving the agenda as hard and as savage as they are, we're left with no alternative but to head down that path. So later on today I'll be sending out to your delegates a few of the things that will be required in arbitration. Some members will be asked to give evidence. This is going to be a very, very large arbitration. Queensland Rail not only want to offer you pretty crappy conditions in their agreement and what they're asking to have arbitrated, they also want to strip away stuff that we say is just not necessarily needed to be stripped away. So we have to provide evidence and a case as to why we want to keep just your basic conditions, which is just ludicrous. So some of your delegates and some of your members will be asked to give evidence in defence of those conditions, and we'll be getting onto that as soon as the directions are, as soon as we know what the time frame is, and of course we'll let members know what that time frame is as soon as we know. We probably don't expect that until early January, the time frame to be set out. But again, we're time constraint. We've only got 90 days to have arbitration concluded and a decision handed down. Again, that's Newman's agenda. So it'll be interesting to see what the election has to play into all of this as well. I'll go through some documents in a minute, which I'll be sending out to the delegates shortly. But before I do, you haven't had a chance to take industrial action. You've had those rights stripped away from you by Newman. What you need to do, what every member needs to do, is get active in the Not For Sale campaign. Get involved and get active as much as you possibly can, because the only chance you have of delivering a decent outcome and having the crappy one that you're going to get arbitrated overturned is to change government. That's the only prospect you have. So get out there, get active in the Not For Sale campaign. It's out there in every seat. It's highly visible. notforsale.org.au. Get on board. You should already be active, but get on board. I'll just run through some of these documents that the delegates are going to get so you understand what the process is and what they mean. So for the arbitration, there's a whole bunch of documents, but I'm just going to run through some of them so you know what they are. This is one of them. These are all the agreed items. There are some things that are agreed, and we've had to run through those. They're not very, it's not a very large document, unfortunately, but it's just some of your basic stuff like superannuation, public holidays, what public holidays there are, etc. So that one's a pretty straightforward document. Then we go to the non-agreed core conditions. So this is all the stuff that's core that isn't agreed. Now, this is one of the start of the very large documents. So in this column here is your current provision. In the middle column is QR's proposal. That's to be arbitrated. If this far column where it says union claim is blank, then your current provision is remain. That's how claim is for your current provision to remain. If there is something in here that sits above your current conditions. So when you read this, you take it that that's what we want plus that. And if that's blank, it's just that. And then you can read what Queensland Rail want in the middle. The highlighted stuff is what Queensland Rail now says is potentially against the legislation and can't be contained in any agreement or determination, and that's the stuff they want stripped out. That will be determined by the full bench. So that's your core conditions. Then this is an example of network, but for rolling stock and customer, it's exactly the same, just not as many columns across in some instances. So in this one, you've got your general provision in the network agreement, and then each of the schedule specifics if they override. And on the far column, in the far column is QR's proposal, which is you can read here. Or if there's a union claim, it will be identified union claim and what it is. Again, the highlighting is what they say is not allowed anymore. When you have a read of it, you'll see how bad that is. Again, it's to be taken that we want that to remain exactly as it is, unless there's a claim here and then that's over and above. You'll see here in Queensland Rail's claim, they've got CA2. That's another document that I'll be sending out as well, which is attached, and that's Queensland Rail's standardisation document. So they want to remove a whole lot of your conditions and just put standard conditions in their place. For instance, 1 hours of work clause across to cover everyone, 1 clause for rostering, standby call-outs, etc., etc. Again, those documents will be there for you to have a look at by the end of today. In the meantime, have a good, safe Chrissy, get active in Not For Sale, and catch you all next year. Thanks.